Biography unit. And today we are going to be reading it's a book from a really fun series called What's Your Story, Wilma Rudolph. It's by Christina Pori Godou. Basically, in this story, we're going to learn how Wilma Rudolph overcame polio and became the first American woman to win 3 gold medals at a single Olympic Games. So, just another really, it's a really cool biography. Now, if you think back to our last lesson, where we were kind of trying to learn about, what is a biography, and really a biography is a story about a person that includes facts. And usually a good traditional biography includes information about the person's, like kind of when they're born, their young life as a child, growing up into adulthood. Talks about like their accomplishments, the good things they do. It talks about their struggles and problems, and just also talks about what accomplishments and what things did they do to kind of help basically change the world, and they were a big part to change history. And that's what we're going to get to discover about Wilma today, and that's why I chose this one, because this book definitely covers all of those different parts. Before we get into our book, we're going to talk about our goal today. Remember, when we're doing any of these biography lessons, it's going to be 2 goals. Our first one's going to be for reading. So let's read this together. I can determine. Ready? I can determine the main idea of a text and key details for support. So determine means to figure out. And we're going to be taking a look at, we're not going to be recording a main idea, but we're going to be thinking about the big main ideas of the book. And we're going to be really more so recording and jotting down key details. But it's always good to kind of keep that big main idea, especially of a chapter, in the back of your head. And main idea is like one sentence. One big idea, and it's one sentence. But the key details are the most important facts. And that's probably going to be the part we're going to focus on most today. And our social studies goal starts at I can explain. Ready? I can explain how specific people have done important actions to help change the world around them in history. So specific means like a certain person. Like today's is Wilma Rudolph. The last one was all about Melia Earhart. And we're going to be taking a look at how Wilma Rudolph did some important things or important actions to help change the world around her in history. So past events. And as we are doing that, we're going to be focusing on this, reading strategies for biographies. And these are a couple things we're going to keep in the back of our mind as we're reading today. I'm going to go to our book quick so we don't lose it. So we're going to basically keep these as we read a biography, we want to keep in mind and ask, what am I learning about this person's life? So really, and it's not just like the little stuff, we want to make sure we are remembering the key details, the most important details, the most important things. How is this person's life similar or different from mine? And that's always a really good thing too. It helps you get a point of view or a perspective about that person. And then how might time and place impact who they are and what they do? So if we think back to Melia Earhart, her accomplishments were huge, massive, because she was doing something that typically, men were doing it. That was a man-dominated profession. Basically a man-dominated world. There weren't a lot of women doing it, and she did a lot of firsts before any man did it, which was even more important because it showed that women were equal to men, and in her case, better than men, because she was doing so many things before anybody else ever were doing it. So, that's something to kind of think about too, and that's going to be a really cool thing with Wilma Rudolph today. Now, as we're reading her story, so we are going to keep those things in the back of our mind, and to help us do that, we're going to go over to Schoology. So, you've already been in Schoology. Oh, looks like I have to log back in here. I'm going to just go back into the folder again. So remember, mine looks way different than yours because I have everything in here. I'm going to be sending it all to you later, but right here. So we have our biography unit. All you see is biography lesson 2, taking notes while reading biographies. Now you've already opened this up because you have already done step 1, open this video and watch it. I don't have step 1 because I'm making the video, but we're going to do step 2. Open this biography note taker in Notability. So if you haven't done this yet, I want you to do that step 2, open this biography note taker in Notability and send it over to Notability. Create new note. Top right corner, hit import. I'm going to go back to my book so I don't lose it. Great. Back to Notability. Up on the top, make sure to get your name on there. It just helps me a lot when I'm going through everyone's note takers later. Okay, so you can see we do have a goal up on the top. It's right here. I can identify significant key details about my person's life. And significant means important, like very important. And we're talking about key events. Key events, basically events means like parts. So like the most important parts of a person's life. And so we're going to be doing it for Wilma today. I shouldn't lose my book. Now, you all are going to be doing this same graphic organizer today, but you are going to be doing it for your own book today. So your assignment today, after we're done doing this read aloud and doing this organizer, you're going to kind of watch me, and hopefully you're going to be kind of sharing ideas at your iPad. You are assigned a Kids A to Z book today, and it's a biography. So you are going to be reading a biography today. Just make sure I'm not going to lose my book here. Great. Yeah, so you're going to be reading a biography today from Kids A to Z. And with that biography, you are going to do your own sheet of this. So you're going to just kind of follow along. You're going to just kind of watch me do this. You're going to hear me think about how to fill this out. But then after I'm all done, you are then going to go read your Kids A to Z book, your biography. You're going to do this sheet for your biography, and then you will do the quiz about your book. So it's going to be really, really important that you are following along, paying attention, making sure that you're kind of understanding how this sheet works. And this is actually going to be an organizer that we're going to use often during this unit. So today might be a little confusing as we go along, but hopefully every time that we do use this organizer, it will make more sense. It's just kind of a nice way to take notes and record those ideas for biographies. So just want to make sure I'm not going to lose my book here. So I'm going to go through this organizer, and then I'll stop the video before we actually get into the biography. But this is basically set up into 3 columns. The first column is time periods. That means just basically parts of your person's life. And for me, it's Wilma Rudolph. So early life, youth and adulthood. So early life is like when she's like a really young kid. Youth and adulthood, that's when she's like older, a little bit like, kind of like old, like an older kid going into becoming an adult. What's a big challenge? And these can be like any kind of big challenges, like any big problems, anything that your person has to kind of overcome. And it could be just one, or it could be lots. Achievement, those are all the really good things. And so I'm just going to write the good things that happens for somebody. And the big challenge, I'm going to write the problems, just to help remember for you for later. Then wrap up. What are they doing now, or did they die? And so basically, and it says contribution impact. So like really like how did they make a difference? How did, make sure I'm not going to lose my book here. Great. How did they make a difference? So hopefully those notes will help you later on. Remember, you can always come back and like rewatch, especially the first part of this video or any parts of these video to help as you're doing yours later on. In early life is, really when they're born, born or just young. And this really is more like when they're kind of like a kid. Kid to basically kind of like young adult. Kind of like is going up like through high school into college. So in the middle, that's where you're going to be doing all your notes. It says, what am I learning about this person? Well, for each of those parts of their lives, that's where you're going to write down your notes. And in this last section, it says, what am I learning about history during this time? So you're going to do that part at the very end. Basically, like when we learned about Melia Earhart, we learned that was a really big thing, because at that time, women weren't really doing that, weren't flying like that weren't flying like that. So that was kind of a big deal. So those are the things we're going to be thinking about as we read this book, and I'm going to be going back and forth. Just like when you're going to be doing your Kids A to Z book today on your own for yours, you're going to be going back and forth as well. But I'm going to stop the video here.